Welcome back to Studio Chatter. If you have been a regular viewer for a while, you will remember that Natasha had quite the scare.
Yeah.
That was a little while ago, right? Last spring.
It's been almost a year.
And we're gonna...
Scary, scary time for you, friend. And we're so super grateful to have you here and that you're somewhat just fine. Right? I hate to like dismiss and say everything's roses, but on the most part, you're back with us and whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was scary. Yeah. Sorry. It was quite a year, right?
Right. It's surreal, and sometimes you put it on a shelf. And now, and now we bring it to surface. But I think Stace would agree. We're so grateful that you shared it.
Me
to
too.
share the knowledge about what happened with others,
Yeah.
if they might experience it as well.
You know, it's been a crazy year, and I'm just so happy to be back.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad you're sitting
Yep, we
in
are.
that seat.
Yep.
Me too.
Okay,
Looking
let's take a
forward
look.
to a new year.
One day you feel great and the next day you don't. That happened to me. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Well, and thank you for talking about it.
I think it's important to talk about it because when you don't know, you don't know. And I've been learning things along the way and my experience, and I've actually held back a little bit. I haven't really shared on social media yet, just to kind of make sure that we were out of the woods and making sure that everything was okay. And I know that people have been reaching out. So I will just start where we left off.
Yeah.
Quite literally, the last time we were filming, and just on the, really on the heels of Studio Chatter, I don't know if you recall, but we were in studio and we had talked to one of our guests who shared that they lived nearby.
Yes, I remember this moment actually.
And I can't remember what was going on, but I just couldn't recall
it was your address.
Yes.
Do you remember asking you
And
where
there
you
were
were.
two people in your neighborhood.
Yes.
And I'm like, but I live kind of there, but I could not recall the street name. And I just shrugged it off as a late night, like, a little off.
And I thought maybe you just didn't want to share your address on air. That was what I thought maybe.
And I didn't even think probably that at all. I would just, I live right here, da-da-da. It was fine. So I went home that evening and we were talking about our upcoming vacation. And I could not talk about the Hawaiian vacation. And I'm like, so what? The island, we go to. Where do we go to in Hawaii? Oahu. Like, it just couldn't come out. So again, we just shrugged it off. You're tired, go to bed. Next morning, on our way to dance convention. So daughter has to go down to the studio, run the solo. That morning though, even things that I would normally do in the routine, just Alexa, turn on the fish tank, all the things you usually do. And it was like tank, fish, like just all over the place. And my husband said, are you joking? And I got really upset. And I ran into the bathroom and again, shrugged it off, took my little notebook with me. I'm like sharing with my friend at the studio. I'm like, I don't know, like scared, like I just couldn't get any of it out. So we'll take her into Instacare, or take her to the hospital, see what's going on. So they were very polite and checked me in and said, did you fall? Like what has happened? Has somebody beaten you? All the things would be like, no, I'm fine. So they did the scan and they said, you have a brain bleed, and I could probably even share the pictures with you. And I said, no, I don't. And Nurse Jenny, bless her heart, and even since I've gone back, they've said it's Nurse Jenny with the Australian accent. So thank you very much, Jenny. But they said, she said, honey, no, you have a brain bleed. You're going to the hospital. I said, no, I'm not going in the ambulance. Absolutely not. You're not turning on the lights, and I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm going to a dance convention today. And anyway, they were very insistent, transported me And then things get, scary when you hear that you're going to ICU, you have a brain bleed,
They put you right into ICU, right?
Yes.
Explain a little bit to us, maybe both of you, what
Yeah.
a brain bleed is or what causes it, and maybe that's a continuation of the story.
Well, I definitely want to share stroke. What are they?
The stroke
Last name.
symptoms.
Symptoms.
Yeah,
There we go.
the BFAS.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've had everything from a brain bleed to a mini stroke with aphasia or a blood clot. So it's been called all those different things.
okay.
But I displayed many of the symptoms. And really that morning, actually, I'm like, oh, I get migraines all the time. So I took, a couple Tylenol and called it a good day. But it was so yes, let's talk about that. Share. That's the important part. Because with migraines, my tongue would go numb. I definitely get the aura, the double vision, even kind of your limp arm going.
And you've had that?
I've had that before many times.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. But the weird part was the language.
The speech.
Yeah.
The
Well, and the
speech.
thing is with you articulate and know your words
Right.
so good. For me, I don't even know if anyone would pick up on it.
Right, they'd be like, oh, Angie kept talking
Natasha,
today.
and when I came to visit you the first time at your home.
Yes.
Stacy called me and she was really concerned.
Yeah, because you were just like, no, I'll be back. And I was like, Angie, she's not coming back, and we are not going to let her for a month.
Well,
Like,
and
she
that's the
needs to
part that would
heal.
make me cry, because aphasia, by definition, is basically you're a hostage. You are a hostage to your language. It's like charades. Like, as much as I want to verbalize, I just
Can't get it out.
couldn't. I couldn't. And everything was literally backwards. And a word like magnet that you've known your whole life, I would be like, magnet, like trying to spell it out. And I would practice with Gunner's little books. And I'm like, I'm never going to be able to read out loud again. I can read. And you're an intelligent person, and you're literally trapped inside your own body. And I think that was probably the hardest part. Like, when we were like, is this going to be this way forever? Like,
So I think that's what I want to ask.
Yeah.
Like, why is it, like, she's healed? I bet you're, 95% great again? Do you feel like you're?
I feel that way, and I could probably even share those pictures also. Like, you can literally see, like, kind of where the pool of blood, and how now it stopped on its own. That's why there was no emergency surgery. I mean, and most people were like, oh, your hair. I'm like, no, that's fine. Like, if it's, life and death. But I guess it just kind of stopped on its own, and will eventually just absorb into the brain on its own.
So why does that happen?
As
with
you get
everyone?
rid of that pressure, that blood that's there, that's not supposed to be there, you'll get some of that. You're progressively getting back to what your normal state is. And with brain bleeds and strokes, sometimes it's a spontaneous, sometimes it's a head injury. With strokes, it's family history, it's medical history. It's a slew of things, and really when it comes down to those, for us, time is brain, and really that is what we talk about with strokes. That time is brain, and so when we focus on strokes and activation, one thing with Spanish Fork Hospital that we've really worked on this last year is the activation. If somebody comes in with deficits, such as yours, pulling those resources together, getting the CT scan as quickly as we can, so that we get you the care that you need in appropriate amount of time. And if medications were needed to be involved for maybe a clot for a stroke, that we're getting them in within that 4-hour window to make sure that you're not succumbing to any permanent damage to your brain. And that's where you get those long-term effects. The longer that the brain goes without the blood, you're going to see those longer term effects that never come back.
So then incident number 2, after I'd even been discharged from the hospital, that Sunday I was home, I was doing fine, and I went downhill again, and it was like, and the language all over, and I just couldn't come for the words. And so I had my phone and I'm pointing to it, and I'm telling Keith, I wanted to tell him 911. I wanted to tell him ambulance. I wanted to say those things. And I'm like hitting my phone saying, blue people, and you know, and I guess that was such a
my
blessing
gosh.
that Spanish Fork Hospital is so close. I mean, he's like, kids, go. We're going now.
Wow.
And we were there, and they responded. So, and Nurse Jenny again, like she was there, and she was, and I guess that's the feeling that's just when it's so close to home, and so that warm feeling, like literally hugged me and said, "I've been so worried about you," and she was just so. It was so amazing, because that day I did not want to go.
Well, and what a blessing
Yes.
that she already knew your history.
Right.
Yes.
Like you didn't have to say anything,
Yes.
just
I mean,
to show up. She
And
could
I-
get things going.
Yes, and I had told her before, I'm like, I do not want to go in the ambulance. I couldn't say
Yes.
ambulance then, but I didn't want to go.
I don't want to go.
No.
Then you saw Jenny, and you're like, yes.
But, you know, I mean, it's just, it's been a blessing, really, all the way around. Like, I'm back to normal, so to speak. I didn't have to have speech therapy. Yet, I guess I probably could have some help. I don't know, but the reading has kind of come. And yes, I mean, having the blessing or having the hospital so nearby, I mean, everything has just been amazing. But if there's anything to share, it's if you recognize those symptoms with anybody, because even sleeping on it overnight, we were like, like maybe, who knows?
So what are some of those symptoms that we can look for?
So we look at the BFAST acronym. We look at balance. We look at eye movement. You know, are they symmetrical? Are you able to follow the fingers? And then the FAST, facial. We look at the symmetry. We look at arms, your droop, speech. Can you get it out? And then we look at time. We look at onset of symptoms, and I can't stress enough that when things like that, just don't start making sense, trust yourself. And it's, we've worked hard. We've actually activated about 115 strokes in the hospital since we've opened. And it's, the activation just gives us the resources that we need to make sure that we're hitting those time limits. And so really understanding that BFAST, the acronyms, the symptoms, trusting yourself, and we will never question your concern. When you walk in thinking that you're having a stroke, we are activating that. We're taking it seriously because only you and your family know you the best. And so if it's not normal, that is definitely what we go off of, and we just hit the ground running and
yes,
until we figure out what it is.
Oh gosh, yes.
So scary, Natasha.
Yeah, it was scary, and kudos to the hospital and the staff. I mean, they responded just to everything. So everything has been great so far. Maybe some dull headaches here and there, just everything resolving itself, and sometimes the double vision. And just asking people to be patient with me, because I do question sometimes. I'm like, is it coming out the right way? I'm like,
I bet.
So
well, the fact that you're sitting here having this had happened a month ago is a blessing of itself. And
this was motivation in and of itself. I'm like, I have to read.
Natasha, as you may guess, she doesn't like to rest. She would
or miss out on anything.
She was feeling like she was missing out on all the
get
fun.
FOMO.
Oh, I have FOMO. Yes, yes.
So we were just like telling her, no.
Yes.
No, but I can just, no. But you're going to stay home and rest.
There's a weird part too where you almost feel isolated. Like there's something that you can't see it, but there's something wrong with you, So I think that's even why I've even pushed back a little bit for people to reach out, because I'm fine. Like I'm fine. I'm fine. Like, you just don't want to be a burden either, So thankful to all of those who stepped out of their way anyway. Yes, and sitting around does me no good either with comfort foods. But it's been great. So I'm happy to be back.
We're glad you are healed.
Super grateful.
And healing.
Thank you. Yes.
And thanks for helping us
Yes,
see a little bit.
thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, because that's very emotional, and it's hard, and
It is.
But I love that you had such a great experience, and we have worked so hard to build that amazing team in the ER, and man, they are on fire. They work together.
They do. They really
They
do.
can read each other's minds. You know, what they're thinking before they're thinking it, and it's so cool to see that team work together. And
Yes.
And that's successful
I will
patient
definitely
outcome.
attest to that. So
Yes.
thank you all so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
We love you, Natasha.
Thank you.